Okay, welcome back to Artificial Intelligence Research. Um, Here I'm interviewing, or today I'm interviewing Annie. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Annie. I'm currently a software engineer at Microsoft. Um, kind of still new grad. I graduated last year from Princeton University. Um, and I mostly work on cloud software.
Nice. So, I already know that you don't have as much experience with artificial intelligence, but if you do have any, could you tell us, like, was it part of a job or any classes you've taken?
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I feel like, okay, so I don't really have any experience with artificial intelligence itself, but I like briefly had an internship in Toronto that was like related to training for like kind of speech recognition. It was like this app that was supposed to analyze baby sounds and like kind of get an idea of their like language development. But I don't really know if it's at all related.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to use it for a job or anything.
Not really.
I see. Um, in any case, are you excited for the future of AI?
I think I'm excited and mildly concerned.
Really?
Yeah. I think for the most part it's exciting, but I guess the concerns that I have would be more centered around like the types of jobs that it would kind of replace.
Mm,
Um, yeah, that's like where most of my concerns are at. I think it's going to take a while for it to like hit a lot of the fields that I'm thinking of, but I just think that like I guess another background point is that I'm like a musician, and I did like piano for most of my life. Um, and I remember like when I was initially like at Princeton, I like talked to a couple of people in CS before I was really into it. And I don't think this is gonna happen anytime soon, but people are very like interested in kind of AI generated music and stuff like that. And they would like ask me like how I felt about it, if it was like eventually able to like compose convincing types of music or like generate like convincing music to use as like background or anything like that. I think like at that point I might be concerned. But even like right now, I think like basic jobs like can already be replaced by AI. So I just wonder kind of like the people that used to do those jobs, like how are they going to find a new role in society? But yeah.
so you do think that AI can sort of um, take over roles, especially more artistic roles like music. You think they can actually achieve that in the future?
I personally don't think they can achieve like, I think artistic creativity is where I'm like not really sure. Like, of course, we know that it can like take over a lot of like mechanical jobs that are already like, doable. But I think for things that involve creativity, I'm not so sure. Um, but I guess compositionally, like I think it's already kind of been seen. I think like recently I saw this like controversy where there was like a visual arts competition, or like it was really high profile, and the winner actually used an AI generated art piece.
Oh yeah, I
um
think I saw that too, actually.
yeah, and I saw it and I was like, this is really beautiful. Like I was like pretty impressed. But yeah, I didn't think that AI could do that. So now I'm like, dang.
Yeah, definitely. The way AI has advanced in like the art fields is very exciting, I guess, but also kind of scary, especially since I
Mhm.
kind of do art myself. I have noticed that AI art generally, like you can usually tell if it's AI art if you look close enough at it.
Mhm.
But if you looked at AI art and then an actual artist's art, like side by side, and would the fact that it was made by an AI, would that like lower your opinion of it, you
I
think?
don't think it would lower my opinion of it, but I think it would change like how I look at it. Like personally, I don't know. I was like kind of conflicted when I saw the debate on whether like, that piece of art should win since like the artist didn't draw it, right? Um, but I guess like to me, if it's like generated by the AI and like the artist inputted the inspiration for that work, I still think it's like I don't think I would like think less of it. Um, although personally, I feel like mm, the credits for like the creation should go more towards the developer of the AI, the person that just used the software. Um, yeah, but I don't think that they should be judged next to each other since the motivations for the work is like completely different.
Mm,
I think one of them, it's like it's cool to see like what the AI can do, but it's like I don't think we have any like obviously right now like AI doesn't have any motivation to be like drawing a specific thing. It's just like whatever the developer had initially like set it up. Um, so I don't think it really should be judged on the same plane as like what artists create right now. Obviously, like I don't really know anything about this at this point, but if AI gets to the point where it actually can like have its own thoughts about like what it's creating, then that changes things.
yeah, definitely. And also I hadn't really thought of like giving more credit to the creator of the AI, but that's actually kind of a good point. Um, yeah, it's actually like really impressive how they made an AI that can actually make art that looks appealing.
Yeah, it was
Um,
really like I thought it was really cool because I think that piece of art was generated from words. So like the artist inputted like poems or like sentences or something, and the AI like used that as inspiration to draw the painting. But just going from words to like the final product that I saw was kind of insane.
yeah. Um, yeah, I guess there's always gonna be like a human aspect though, that
Yeah.
or maybe they will replicate it eventually, but probably not anytime soon. Um, yeah. So on sort of a similar note, do you think AI could ever sort of think, I guess, like solve a problem that a person would solve by thinking? Or do you think
Mm,
has it already been doing that?
I think it depends on how like thinking is defined,
Yeah.
but um I'm trying to think about what I know. I was under the impression that like at a really basic degree AI can think. Um, but like the thinking that I think like what they mean by thinking is just like making calculations based on like I guess experiences and examples it's already had to determine like a result. Um, so I think in that sense, yeah, I can think, but I'm not sure if it can process emotionally.
Yeah, I think I see what you mean. Um, so AI generally it learns from like a set like large amount of data. And so a lot of people I've talked with already have said that since they're basically just learning from that data, they can sort of if you show them like data about emotions or something, they can sort of replicate it.
Mhm.
But they usually argue that um, since it's basically just copying from that data and sort of using it as its own, it never really makes its own emotions or actually feels anything. It just copies it. So I think that's an argument against like the can AI make their own emotions or feel anything?
It's honestly kind of interesting when you put it that way because I'm just thinking about like psychopathy, like it's kind of the same thing. I guess for people who are like born without like true emotions. I've read
Oh,
like kind of on forums that they just kind of mimic and like take in what they see from society to try and produce something that matches. But like in that scenario, since they are human and they are like effectively replicating our emotions, like does that count? Because that's I feel like it's really similar to the AI case.
yeah, actually, also very interesting point. Um, you're talking about like literal psychopaths, right?
Yeah,
Like the people
like
who
I
feel
guess
nothing.
neurologically determined.
Hmm. Hmm. That's I'm gonna leave it or like not or move on. I don't know why
Okay.
it's like so hard for me to say move on, but anyway, um, what else? What else? Do you think that AI having biases, like especially racial biases, you may have seen in the news,
Mhm.
like robots have like flawed databases or
Yeah.
something, and so they may get biases from that. Do you think that's like an actual problem?
Mm, I think it would be a problem. I just remembered, but like when I was in college, there was this like one time I was sorting a data set like manually for a professor. Um, that kind of involved something similar to this. They just like gave us random photos and had us like identify whether like what things were missing from it or what things were being overemphasized. Um, but I mean, I think it would be a real problem because I mean, similar to how we take in information, like an AI would be able to do that, like except to maximum, like to a maximum degree, right? So like we can still like ignore stuff, but I think if we give a flawed data set to an AI, then they'll like just take that as the full truth. Um, which for me definitely seems problematic. Like if they associate certain demographics with set characteristics and just like I guess overemphasize that in any like types of things they create. Like I guess an example would be art, but yeah, I guess for me that would be an issue. I'm trying to think of like applications. Um, can you give me like an example?
An example of like an AI
Like I
having
think
a
just like
bias.
yeah, like from like just a basic point of view, I think is a problem, but I'm trying to think of like the application in which that would apply.
Uh, I read one example, although it's not really like what the AI wasn't really being used in like the real world. It was just an experiment. But basically what happened was the AI was asked to put like blocks with people's faces on them into certain
Mhm.
categories. And then when they asked the AI to do certain tasks, for example, put the doctor in the box, there were definitely certain biases,
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
yeah, I'm sure the biases would exist for sure, but like I don't know if it's possible to give them a fully like what is an unflawed data set? I don't really think that's possible.
Yeah, it does seem hard to control, especially since AI will literally just learn anything you give them. And if it's like a little biased, they're not going to be able to fix that or anything. So they're just going
Yeah.
to be taking the data as it is.
I think the issue is like even balancing out a like something people think would be a flawed data set is introducing like bias on the part of the person that's balancing it out. So I don't really know how one would correct that.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, I think I simultaneously think it's an issue, but also think it's kind of natural because like it's just how we also perceive things.
Yeah. Okay. A different issue that's been discussed about AI is privacy concerns. So, one example of this is facial recognition, which is a type of artificial intelligence. I guess, do you think that facial recognition should be used for like security? Is it an invasion of privacy? Should individual companies be allowed to use facial recognition?
Um, I think for me, I don't see an intrinsic problem with facial recognition. I think the problem is with how they store the data and how they use the data. Um, I'm sure like companies that use facial recognition, you know, like they probably aggregate the data somewhere just to store for convenience, right? Or use like in future applications. And I guess the main concern is like, how secure is that? And is that data being distributed? I feel like just with the application of facial recognition itself, I don't see a problem if it's only applied with security usages. But it just makes me think about like possibilities like deep fakes and stuff. And then that's really concerning. But yeah, I think I'm just more concerned about who has their hands on that information and how they're going to promise like not to distribute it.
Yeah.
In terms of privacy issues, I guess, I don't know, like at this point, like when they ask or when you sign up to do facial recognition, they like ask you, you know, like all of the fine print anyway. So you're signing up to do it yourself. So I don't really think it's an invasion of privacy at that point.
Yeah. How about, okay, on a more positive note, in the future, is there anything you specifically would like to see? Um, like what in your life, I guess, is there anything you want AI to sort of help you in like anything, like from your job to your daily routine?
um, I think um, I think some sort of like integration between like AI and IoT would be really cool. But at the same time, you know, like there's already ethical concerns with IoT itself. Um, but yeah, I think it would be cool if um, things like predicting um, kind of your daily routine or uh, kind of combining things like when you need daylight to wake up or something. And the AI can kind of predict that and help you wake up better. I think that would
Right.
be cool. It would kind of like increase quality of life, but I'm not sure if it would be worth the concerns that come with it. Just like knowing patterns of your daily patterns and everything like that, like comes with a whole host of problems on its own. So yeah, I think it's cool. I don't know how it would be safe.
Yeah, it does sound really cool. But like knowing tech companies and big companies, it's kind of scary to let them access that
Yeah.
data.
I mean, even if like they promise not to distribute it, you know, like I don't really believe in like no breach is possible. Breach is always possible, so can't really rely on that.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, I think for the most part, I'm excited. It's like cool developing technology.
yeah,
I just think personally, I just think like, there's already a lot of discussion on like the ethical components of AI, and I just think that needs to continue.
that's true. Um, hmm. Do you think that AI could rule the world one day?
uh, well, I don't think it will happen in my lifetime, but yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical. I don't think so. Um, but if anything, I don't think so because I think there will be human intervention before that happens.
Yeah, good point. Uh, Wait, you ever play Detroit Become Human or anything? Like, did you see stuff like
What is
that?
it?
Detroit Become Human?
Detroit Become Human?
Yeah.
No. I've watched like, what is it, like Blade Runner?
Oh,
Is it similar?
what's Blade Runner about?
It's kind of a dystopian world where like I think AIs are like running loose and they basically have exactly the same external shell as humans. So you can't really tell. But they're like way more powerful and can do a lot more things. So it's scary, but it's kind of one of the classic AI dystopian films.
Oh, actually, yeah. I guess it's kind of similar. Uh, the game Detroit I was talking about, uh, it's like a choose your own adventures story kind of game. But basically the premise is it's into the future and basically AI robots that look almost exactly like humans are like helping everywhere and doing jobs and stuff.
Mm.
But eventually they do develop sentience, and the story basically revolves around you controlling those robots and
Oh,
either suppressing the sentient robots or sort of helping their movement. So I thought it was a very
I
interesting.
see.
The
Same.
technology was very advanced. I'm not sure if we'll reach that point anytime soon, but it was
Yeah.
really cool.
I think the whole conversation around like once they develop sentience, if they do, is a whole other story. But that's also really like, have you watched Black Mirror?
Is that the TV show?
Yeah, it's the one with like a lot of random dystopian themes. But there's this one episode that's like, I think it's complicated, but they basically like have what I was it's kind of similar to what I was saying about like IoT. They have like a kind of an Alexa controlling like people's homes uh, that can like do everything for them, but like the sentience that does the controlling is a clone of a real human's mind. Um, so it's not exactly AI because it's actually like a clone. Um, but in that scenario, like the question for the episode is basically like, is it okay to do this? Because the person who who the clone is taken from is the person who owns the home itself. So it's like she's employing herself to do the work for
Oh,
her. So it's just kind of like really messed up. But the person like who's like, inside the IoT is suffering like a lot. The fake her.
wow. Wait. So it's
Yeah.
just like a human trapped inside the house.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of a short dystopian story by Ray Bradbury. I forget when it was written, but I thought it was really interesting because the premise is there's a family with two kids and they live inside this house. And basically the house is, I guess, AI, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it basically takes care of everything in the house, which is nice, except eventually it sort of overtook the roles of the parents.
Oh.
And then the kids, they started getting resentful whenever the parents would actually try to discipline them. And so eventually, the kids basically got rid of the parents using the house.
Uh,
It was an interesting story.
I see.
Basically how they did that was there's like a nursery, and the nursery basically shows anything that the kids want to see. Like if they read
Mhm.
Alice in Wonderland, the nursery would kind of emulate that. And how they died basically was the nursery became an African savanna, and then
Oh,
the fake lions like ate the real parents
oh my
or
gosh.
something. It was
Okay.
like really weird, but I thought it was really interesting because it also asked the question like, can AI even replace the roles in families or like
Yeah,
really important human relationships?
that sounds
Um,
really trippy. I want to read
yeah,
it.
it's called The Velt,
The bell.
VELDT.
Okay.
And I guess one last question kind of related to that is, if like a robot asked you out, would you give them a chance?
I think it's too early for this kind of question, but definitely no at this point in time. I just feel like thoughts might change over time though. Like, I mean, if it really progresses, I can see it there being a society where people might consider it. But yeah,
Oh,
no.
yeah, like maybe a group of weird people or something. Not that it's
Yeah,
weird. In the future, it may become normal. Who knows?
yeah.
Anyway, um, yeah, I guess that's all I really wanted to talk about. So, yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks
No
for taking the
problem.
time to do this.
It was an
And
interesting conversation.
yeah, I hope the audience learned something from this. Okay, see you guys.